what you need to ask yourself if you're listening to this is, okay, which type of sex am I more drawn to? The longer version or the quickie version? And why?
Welcome to What I Love About Sex, where some incredible guests and I, Steph Kanowski, will be bringing you the tools for improving your sex life with topics such as sex issues with your partner, sexual self-confidence, premature ejaculation, sexual shame, masturbation, sharing your fetishes, orgasmic pleasure, and more. Sex is still so taboo, and I personally believe that by improving our understanding and communication skills around sex, we can enhance our own self-pleasure as well as deepening our long-term romantic relationships. So listen in, try to stay open-minded, and let's get started.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on the What I Love About Sex podcast. Ooh, first time I said that. If you haven't yet already, please rate and review this podcast on iTunes. I would so much appreciate it. I'm loving the reviews. I appreciate them. You guys are awesome. Also, just a heads up, I have a new course coming out December 6th, and it is all on overcoming sexual performance anxiety. So really excited about it. Doing some great creations behind the scenes for this thing, and I can't wait to get it out to you. So just keep that in mind, and I will be sharing more information around it on here and also especially on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, head over because that's where I live, basically. All right, so getting into today's episode, I wanted to talk about the difference between having sex and fucking. I thought this was a really interesting topic because, first of all, I thought it was weird that it was just interesting that 3 people brought it up to me this week. And I was like, whoa, that's a really random topic to be brought up 3 times in 1 week. And I wanted to talk about it because in each case, it was the woman wanting more sex and less fucking, and the guy being confused about what that meant. So to me as a woman, when I hear that, it rings a bell immediately. Like, it makes sense. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I totally see the difference. And yeah, it makes sense that the woman would want more having sex and less fucking. And the guys were like, I don't see the difference. Like, what's going on? So and I'm not going to speak for every single woman, obviously, but I'm pretty damn sure, and I confirmed with a few women, that this is what it means. Having sex is, when we think of the term or the phrase having sex, it can be more defined as having connection, like feeling connected to someone, making eye contact, breathing deeply, caressing lengthily. That's a good word. Making jokes here and there in between, maybe having a little conversation while you caress the person, then get back to it. Tons of foreplay beforehand. Lots of buildup, right? Lots of anticipation. A longer session, which means probably about an hour instead of 10 minutes or 5 minutes. It's just more lengthy. There's more connection. There's more going into it, feeling like you've been open vulnerably with this person. It's this sense of trust and safety and familiarity. Jesus Christ. Guys, it's been a long week. Just bear with me here. I'm pretty sure you know what the word I was. And it's just like this safe place for passion and connection. Now, on the flip side, fucking, fucking is great too, and I think both of them have their time and place, but I think fucking is more common, especially when it comes to men initiating sex, which is why women want less fucking and more having sex. So fucking, on the other hand, is quicker. It involves less foreplay, less eye contact, less communication, less intimacy overall, less caressing, more, but there are also good things. So let me say what it has more of. More speed, saving more time, more of a thrill, more of definitely can still have passion, more raunchiness, more a sense of adventure. So there's definitely a lot of benefits to both. But the fact of the matter is, women more so need the long version of sex to feel satisfied in a sexual relationship. And when they're not getting that, women start associating sex to this thing that's just no longer a priority, because it's like, all right, I don't come from it. My partner always does. I don't feel connected. My body's not ready. My mind isn't ready. It's just this thing that always feels rushed and I don't feel drawn to, because what is it doing for me? When a woman feels connection, it does something. It's very obvious that, okay, like we're doing something here, like I'm seeing progression in our relationship. More so for men than women. Men will feel progression in the relationship even when they're having quickies, or even when they don't realize if she was satisfied or not. They still just assume that she is and assume everything's fine, and then that makes them feel good. So women internalize it a lot more in general, and this is what often leads to this yearning for, I want to make love, I want to have sex, I don't want to always just fuck. So I think right now, what you need to ask yourself if you're listening to this is, okay, which type of sex am I more drawn to? The longer version or the quickie version? And why? And when I look at my relationship, what do I feel would benefit my relationship more at this point in time? What do we need more of? And how can we prioritize that? And some of you may be thinking, well, Steph, I've been trying to get her to have sex for years. It's not happening. There's no way she's going to have long sex either, because it's just been so long of her not wanting it. It's just, how am I going to bring that up? And that's the thing. I feel a lot of guys try to go from 0 to 100 when it comes to sex. Like they hear like one piece of sex advice and then they expect sex the next day. When really it's like, pay attention to the process, because it is going to take a little while if she's not used to having it all the time. And you need to have patience and understand that you both got each other here, right? It wasn't just her that got you here. You played a part, whether that was not setting boundaries, whether that was not communicating, whether that was avoiding, whatever the case may be. It takes two, right? So when you realize you need some patience, and it may take a little while, the thing that's going to keep you moving along and have hope for your sexual relationship is to acknowledge what the roadmap looks like. What is a step you can take in the direction of initiating more long sex to the point where she would appreciate sex more and enjoy it more and prioritize it? So what would that mean? Maybe step one is you asking her to play a game that you guys used to play when you first met and you had a lot of fun, and maybe you have like a really good memory playing this game because you were just laughing, you felt super connected, you were together, and it was great. All right, maybe it's watching a movie, and as you're watching a movie, you're you're the type of people who comment on the movie throughout it, and like as you're commenting and laughing, maybe it's a comedy, you're just touching each other more, and you're just adding in like platonic, it doesn't even have to be sexual, but maybe it just starts with platonic touches because you guys aren't even there yet, and that can be your step one. So understand where you're at, give yourself a step one, and then acknowledge that you got to step one, and that should feel good. It's kind of like a little dopamine hit of, okay, wow, I did this, I saw that there was an issue, I took a step in the direction towards where I want to be. And it may not have gotten me all the way to the final destination, attempt one, but when does that ever happen? So we have to set ourselves up for success by acknowledging the process and giving ourselves bite-sized pieces to get us to the final destination, which is having a more consistent sex life in general, right? Also, look at yourself and what you enjoy most about sex. Because I feel a lot of us just look for sex for reasons we don't really understand. It's kind of just like, oh, well, it just feels good. Okay, but why does it feel good for you? Why when you feel deprived of it, why when you're not getting it, you feel so deprived? Like what is it about sex that does something for you? What part of sex gives you something that you feel you need or that you feel you truly desire? Because some guys will say, well, I just want to be closer to her, and sex makes me feel closer. Okay, but what are other ways you can feel closer to her? Because you can't make sex the only definition of feeling close. Because if she's not giving it to you, what are you just never going to feel close to her? You can't do that, right? You need to give yourself options, and more likely, when you give yourself a variety of options and you test the variety of options, she will want sex more because she's not gonna feel like you're constantly pressuring her for it. Does that make sense? So maybe it's like, all right, well, sex is one of the things that makes me feel closer to her. When we hire a babysitter for the kids and we go out for a date night, that makes me feel close to her. When she's really struggling with something and I give her a hug and we talk about what's going on, that makes me feel closer. So like give yourself options to fulfill whatever you need from a sexual experience. Another thing I wanted to mention is when you're talking to your partner, when you guys are communicating, this is what often happens. You've been together for so long, and whenever you have lengthy conversations, they relate around stressful things. And when you're not dealing with the stress, you want to relax. So you just go on the couch and watch TV together. And you start calling that TV time your bonding time. Like I'll have people tell me, oh yeah, like we hang out all the time. We watch TV every night. Like that's not good. Like what else are you doing? Because what are you doing? You're giving each other half-assed attention when you're watching TV. You're not giving each other your full focus, like you are when you're dealing with a conflict, like a stressor. If you guys are talking about money or a problem with the kids, and an issue with the house or a loved one is dying, like you're more likely to give each other one-on-one attention because it's like this important thing that's this priority. We got to figure this out. Like we got to talk about this, figure this out. And eventually you just start connecting conversations to these stressful things. And you forget to connect conversations to good things. And it's not even just forgetting, it's not prioritizing it. It's like not realizing the power in having good conversations with each other that are around fun, that are around your dreams, planning for your future, getting excited about a trip. Asking each other, playing like a question game with each other to find out more about each other's fears and ancestry. I don't know, like just digging for it, like getting curious about the person you've been with, because chances are you don't know everything about them, especially if you're spending most nights on the couch watching TV with them. So find a way to prioritize that conversation. It's that conversation and it's that laughter and play that starts creating desire again. And that often leads to a long form sex, right? When we feel detached from our partner, it's much easier to have a quickie. You're not as emotionally invested and you're not as physically invested. It's quick. You don't have to really engage, get personal. It's kind of just like quick fix in a way. But it's also beneficial, like I said, like there's time and a place for both. But let's not lose sight of the power of deep connection and what that can do not only for your partner, but for yourself. So I hope this helps. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And yeah, that is it. Have an amazing morning, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world, and I'll talk to you soon.
I hope this episode helped you. If it did, I would love for you to leave me an iTunes review. It would mean the world to me. You can also screenshot your favorite episodes and tag me on Instagram at Steph Kanowski. And before I go, remember, your sex life is as good as you make it out to be. Until next time.